In July 2011, ICristina Siekavizza, a mother of two and respected professional, vanished from her home in Guatemala City. Her husband claimed she left after an argument. But the bloodstains told a different story. What followed was a twisted tale of cover-ups, power, and a fugitive on the run for years, with the help of his politically powerful mother. This is the haunting case of ICristina Siekavizza. ICristina Siekavizza was a well-educated woman with a background in environmental science. By all accounts, she was kind, intelligent, and deeply devoted to her two young children. She was married to Roberto Barreda, a man from an influential family in Guatemala. His mother, Beatriz Ofelia de Leon, was a former president of the Supreme Court. But behind the scenes, ICristina's marriage was crumbling. Close friends later revealed she'd been planning to separate from Roberto and possibly take the children with her. That decision would prove fatal. On the night of July 6, 2011, neighbors reported hearing shouting and loud noises coming from the Barreda home. ICristina was never seen again. Roberto's version? ICristina had simply left after a fight. But the house told another story. Investigators found traces of blood in the bedroom. There were signs of cleaning efforts, as if someone had tried to erase evidence. Even more alarming, Roberto refused to cooperate, and just days later, he fled, taking their two children with him. ICristina's family didn't buy Roberto's story for a second. Her father, Arturo Siekavizza, launched an unrelenting campaign to find his daughter and bring Roberto to justice. The Guatemalan public began to take notice. The case gripped the nation, especially when it was revealed that Roberto's mother, the former judge, may have helped him escape. Allegations surfaced that Beatriz de Leon obstructed justice to protect her son. A former judge, once trusted to uphold the law, now accused of helping her son cover up murder. With help, Roberto crossed borders undetected. He hid for 2 years. Interpol issued a red notice, and eventually, in 2013, authorities found him hiding in Mexico, under a false identity, with his 2 children. He was extradited to Guatemala, arrested, and charged with the murder of ICristina Siekavizza and the illegal abduction of his children. His mother, Beatriz de Leon, was also arrested for obstruction of justice and abuse of power. Finally, it seemed justice was on the way. But the story didn't end there. Despite the arrest, Roberto never revealed what he did with ICristina's body. The children were returned to ICristina's family, but traumatized. Years of legal proceedings dragged on, filled with delays, appeals, and political interference. Beatriz de Leon was initially convicted, but later acquitted on appeal. Many Guatemalans saw the case as a reflection of a deeper issue, a justice system too easily swayed by power and privilege. Through it all, ICristina's family never stopped demanding answers. In August 2020, after nearly a decade in custody, Roberto Barreda died in prison from COVID-19 without ever confessing. ICristina's body was never found. Her family never got the closure they deserved. Many believe Roberto took that secret to his grave, leaving behind only silence, pain, and 2 children who grew up without either parent. ICristina's case became a symbol of domestic violence, femicide, and the fight against impunity in Guatemala. Her name appears on banners, in protests, and in news stories to this day. Her father founded the Siekavizza Foundation, which supports victims of gender-based violence and pushes for legal reforms. ICristina may be gone, but her story sparked change. ICristina Siekavizza wanted a better life for herself and her children. For daring to escape an abusive marriage, she paid the ultimate price. She never got justice in her lifetime, but her legacy lives on, in every woman who refuses to stay silent. In January 2021, Maya Millete, a wife, mom of 3, and Navy contractor, vanished from her home in California. Her last chilling words, "If anything happens to me, it's Larry." This is the terrifying case of Maya Millete. On January 7th, Maya got into a heated argument with her husband, Larry. She went into her bedroom and was never seen again. Her car, credit cards, and ID were untouched. But her phone? Gone. She missed her daughter's birthday. Family knew instantly something was wrong. Her sister drove over and was told by Larry that Maya just left. But the story didn't add up. Maya had been secretly preparing to leave Larry. She contacted a divorce lawyer and told friends she feared for her life. She believed Larry was tracking her. In texts, she confided that he had become obsessive and controlling. Investigators would later find Larry had been Googling spells and hexes, searching for ways to make Maya stay or suffer. Police found missing surveillance footage and suspicious cell tower pings from Larry the night Maya vanished. He stopped cooperating with investigators and wouldn't allow them to interview the kids alone. 9 months later, police arrested Larry Millete for Maya's murder, even though her body was never found. Maya's family hasn't given up. Her sister, Chris, continues to organize searches every weekend. Her 3 children are left with no answers, one parent gone, the other in jail. The case raises one haunting question. Can justice be served without a body? Maya Millete's story is heartbreaking and terrifying. She knew something was coming. She warned people, but no one imagined it would end like this. Brian Shaffer walked into a bar in Columbus, Ohio, and never came out. No joke, no exaggeration. Security footage shows him entering, but there's not a single frame of him leaving. It's been nearly 2 decades, and we're still asking, how does a man vanish into thin air, inside a building? This is the case that keeps detectives awake and internet sleuths obsessed. Stick with us, because by the end of this video, we're diving into a theory that might finally explain what happened to Brian Shaffer. Brian wasn't just another missing person. He was a 27-year-old medical student at Ohio State University, charismatic, ambitious, and deeply loved by friends and family. But behind the smile was a man still grieving the death of his mother. Some say he carried it silently. Others believe it changed him more than anyone realized. The city's nightlife is wild, especially around the Ohio State campus. Bars like the Ugly Tuna Saloona were known hotspots. That night, the streets were buzzing. Music, laughter, the energy of spring break. No one could have predicted the darkness that would unfold. It was supposed to be a night to blow off steam. Brian had dinner with his father, then met up with friends Clint and Meredith. They bar hopped through the Arena District before ending up at the Ugly Tuna. Brian was last seen at 1:55 a.m., stepping back toward the bar's interior. After that, nothing. Here's where the mystery deepens. Cameras show Brian entering the bar. They cover the only public exit. But there's no footage of him leaving, not even a blurry shadow. Was there a blind spot, a hidden exit, or was the footage tampered with? It's one of the most confounding surveillance puzzles ever recorded. Brian missed his flight to Miami with his girlfriend Alexis. He wasn't answering his phone. He didn't show up for medical school classes. Within days, concern turned to fear. Friends and family canvassed the city with flyers. Alexis called him repeatedly. His phone rang, but he didn't answer. Brian's father contacted Columbus police. What started as a college student blowing off steam quickly escalated. Investigators began piecing together the timeline, reviewing security footage, and questioning everyone who saw him that night. It wasn't long before they realized they had no idea where to look next. The bar's layout became critical. There was one main entrance with security cameras and some service exits in the back, leading to a construction zone. Could Brian have slipped through undetected or fallen and gotten injured behind the building? Police scoured the site. Nothing. Days after Brian disappeared, his phone rang and rang and rang. Then it pinged a cell tower in Hilliard, a suburb 14 miles away. Could he be alive? Could someone else have the phone? Investigators followed the signal, only to hit another dead end. The ping offered hope, but no answers. Was this a prank gone wrong? An accident? A targeted abduction? The internet exploded with speculation. Some believed he wandered off drunk. Others suggested foul play. But no one could explain the most chilling part. Why was there absolutely no trace? Brian and Alexis had a deep connection. They were about to vacation together in Miami. She called his phone every day for months just to hear his voice. She left him voicemails, heartbreaking ones. If Brian walked away voluntarily, why would he do it right before a romantic trip? Brian's mother had died of cancer just weeks earlier. It hit him hard. Some believe it triggered a mental health crisis. Then, years later, tragedy struck again. His father, Randy Shaffer, died suddenly in a freak accident. At his memorial, a note appeared on Brian's online guestbook. "Dad, I love you, Brian." It was traced to a public computer in Ohio. Fake or a real sign? One of the most debated theories is that Brian orchestrated his own disappearance. He was under pressure: medical school, grief, expectations. Could he have staged his vanishing to start a new life? No money withdrawn, no passport activity, no confirmed sightings. If he left everything. Then again, what if someone wanted Brian gone? Was it a bar fight? A setup? Did someone inside the Ugly Tuna hurt him? There were people there that night who still haven't spoken publicly. Some theorists believe he was taken through the back service exit, into the construction zone, and silenced. Clint Florence, one of Brian's friends, lawyered up and refused to take a polygraph. He's never been named a suspect, but his silence raised eyebrows. Meredith took a polygraph and passed. Why would Clint refuse unless he knew something he couldn't say? Despite national media coverage and an ongoing missing person case, Brian's fate remains unknown. No fingerprints, no body, no digital trail. Just a young man who seemed to dissolve from reality in a bar packed with people. From Reddit threads to YouTube rabbit holes, the internet is obsessed with this case. Some suggest organ trafficking, others blame corrupt law enforcement. A few believe Brian never existed, just a ghost story built from pixels. But one theory stands out, and we'll get to it soon. In the years since, there have been multiple false leads, sightings in Tijuana, photos of men who looked like Brian, a homeless man mistaken for him. Each time, hope surged, then crashed. Still, the case remains open, and the Columbus police still receive tips. Today's facial recognition, AI surveillance analysis, and DNA ancestry databases are solving decades-old cases. Could they do the same for Brian? All it takes is one breakthrough: a photo, a DNA match, a single person stepping forward. That night in 2006, Brian walked into a bar and was never seen again. No fight, no evidence, no escape caught on camera, just a haunting silence. If you know something, even the smallest detail, it could be the missing piece. And if you're watching this, tell us, what do you think happened to Brian Shaffer? Do you think Brian planned his disappearance, or was he taken? Let us know your thoughts below. Someone might notice a detail we've all missed. 5 children, a mysterious house fire, no remains, no explanation, and no justice, nearly 80 years later. It was Christmas Eve, 1945, when the Sodder family home in West Virginia went up in flames. The blaze destroyed the house within 45 minutes, but what happened to the 5 Sodder children inside is one of the most haunting and controversial unsolved mysteries in American history. Did they die in the fire, or were they taken? And if they were taken, who did it? Let us know in the comments what you think happened to the Sodder children. George and Jenny Sodder were Italian immigrants raising 10 children in Fayetteville, West Virginia. George owned a successful trucking business, and the family was known for being hardworking and close-knit. But George had made enemies. He was outspoken about his anti-Mussolini views, something that ruffled feathers in the Italian immigrant community during World War II. On Christmas Eve, 1945, the family celebrated the holiday. That night, 5 of the children asked to stay up late to play with their gifts. George and Jenny agreed and went to bed. At around 1 a.m., a strange phone call woke Jenny. A woman asked for someone who didn't live there and laughed before hanging up. Jenny noticed the lights were still on and the curtains open. Odd, because the kids usually turn them off. She went back to bed, but within 30 minutes, she heard a loud thump on the roof. Then smoke. The Sodder house was on fire. George, Jenny, and 4 of their children escaped. But the 5 who had stayed up, Maurice, 14, Martha, 12, Louis, 9, Jenny, 8, and Betty, 5, were trapped upstairs. George tried to re-enter the house, but the stairs were engulfed. The phone line was dead. His truck, normally used to climb to the second floor, wouldn't start. In less than an hour, the home burned to the ground. But when firefighters finally arrived, there were no remains. Authorities ruled it an accident. Faulty wiring, they said. But George and Jenny weren't convinced. Why? They saw no smell of burning flesh. There were no bones in the ashes. A woman said she saw children peering out of a car window the next morning, and a man claimed to have seen balls of fire thrown onto the roof. Jenny even burned animal bones to test if fire would leave any remains. It always did. Experts agreed bones should have been found, especially from 5 children. Soon, the theories took over. The children were kidnapped. Some believed someone took them before or during the fire, possibly in retaliation for George's political views. 2. Insurance fraud cover-up. A few locals hinted the fire might have been staged, though no evidence ever supported this. 3. Organized crime involvement. Could Italian-American mafia groups have been involved, punishing George for his Mussolini stance? Then came the real twist. A witness claimed she saw the children alive. In a Charleston hotel, a woman reported seeing 5 children matching their description, escorted by 2 adults. The kids refused to speak, but the tip was never followed up. For decades, the Sodders received mysterious tips. A photo mailed to them in the 1960s showed a man in his 20s with a note, "Louis Sodder, I love Brother Frankie." A woman claimed to overhear a conversation where someone admitted to kidnapping the Sodder kids. A private investigator hired to follow the lead with the photo disappeared. And what about the fire chief? He admitted, years later, that he'd hidden a human organ in a box at the scene, which turned out to be a cow's liver. Why? He claimed it was to give the family closure. Instead, it just raised more questions. George and Jenny spent the rest of their lives searching for their children. They bought billboards on Route 16 that read, "What was the fate of our children? Kidnapped, murdered, or are they still alive?" Some included tips, some were cruel hoaxes, but none solved the mystery. George died in 1969, Jenny in 1989. They never stopped believing their children had been taken, and that someone out there knew the truth. Today, the case of the Sodder children remains unsolved. No remains have ever been found, no arrests ever made. And yet, their story still haunts the true crime community to this day.